Every dream home needs a hero, but every hero needs a team to back them up. A crew of experts with different powers, working in sync to bring your vision to life. Your builder takes ideas and makes them real. Your architect sees the future and draws it. And your designer brings beauty, function, and comfort to it all. In this episode, we're helping you assemble your dream team to avoid the major third act conflict by calling the right pros in at the right time. Because in a world where custom home building can be complex or confusing, the right team really does fight the battle for you and makes the mission smoother from start to finish. So get those hard hats ready and suit up. We're ready to assemble your home.
Welcome to The Art of Custom, and our season focused on making sure you have a smoother build long before the first shovel hits the dirt. In today's episode, we're talking about putting together your building team to help guide you through every decision from budget through moving day as you bring your dream home to life. Enjoy!
We all love a good superhero movie, and we've learned everything we can from them. We know that bringing the right people together at the right time can make all the difference. But if they don't work together and rely on the strengths of each team member, even the best plans can be met with challenges. Pretty true, Melody. We face it all the time with our custom builds.
It's any team, right?
I mean, I don't care what profession or what business you're talking about. The team makes all the difference in the world.
And if you can't rely on a team member, you need to replace them.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that in this episode, are we?
No, we're not.
We're going to actually talk about different team members. Of course, we've got the builder, we've got the architect, we have the designer. So we probably should start with the builder, right?
We're not the only ones who are going to tell you this, but that's going to be your key first decision when it comes to building a team. And there's a reason that we recommend that.
Yeah, a lot of times the builder can recommend an architect, although I will say that if you prefer or if for some reason you know an architect or an architect has been recommended, start with the architect first and then have them recommend a builder. We seem to work exceptionally well whenever we meet our clients and we help them assemble their team. So we'll start talking about the builder first.
When you're out in the Utah market, a lot of times people do start with the architect because the design is kind of the thing, right? Mm-hmm. And those architects can recommend builders early enough on in the process that they can work together in order to value engineer plans and make decisions.
Exactly. Different parts of the country require different building skills, and it's not written in stone. You have to find that builder first. Absolutely not. Rely on the architect because they will understand what is their vision and do they have a builder who can make that vision, come to life. But let's talk about the builder first, though. He's kind of like the project leader. He's the budget guardian, which,
Absolutely.
I'm laughing at that a little bit, but it's so true. And this is why when you find that builder who has your best interest in mind and really is going to focus on that budget, that's gold because there are a lot of builders out there. Now, I use this term a lot and I apologize for it. Everybody's heard it. There's a lot of great builders around the country. It's true. But there are some builders who really don't help you much during that design process, and it can get the whole project off to a rocky start because before you know it, your budget is bust. So truly find a builder who will be the guardian of your budget. They also need to be a construction expert or have someone on their team who is that construction expert. They're really your partner day to day, right?
They're going to be the one that is visiting the job site. They're the one who is going to execute your warranty from beginning to end. And they have a bead on the labor market, on what really is going into developing the land. I mean, your architect is probably going to have some idea. They're going to have, a topography plan no matter where you're at. But understanding the costs associated with working through that plan to get your house on that site, it's not the responsibility of your architect.
Correct.
It is your builder is going to know that all comes from the same spot. You're paying for it, right? So let's make sure it fits into your budget.
Well, think about this too. You're developing a relationship with builders, architects, designers. Who's going to be with you the longest? The builder. because the builder is going to help you find that perfect piece of land by visiting it, giving you some, like we had talked about in episode number 2, talks about, the importance of land and the differences and what to look for.
Right.
But the builder not only then builds your house, but what about the warranty period? That builder will be with you for a minimum of 1 year through the warranty period. So, something to think about when you're selecting the builder is how do you get along? How do you communicate? Do your core values align with their core values? It's going to be a long relationship.
And here's where the designer kind of comes into play is there's materials that are being used in the finish, right? And all three of them are going to want to think about how those materials are being used. Is that the appropriate material for, that space? If you have a wet room, there are certain things you're not going to want to have in there. Ski lockers in Utah, right? You want to be careful about the flooring in there. So everybody working together as, these pieces are coming in. When you're talking about warranty, your builder is going to want to address that with your designer, right?
Well, 100%. And we've kind of talked about the builder and started to slowly introduce the designer, but this is where also the architect is critical. We actually are in the planning process of a home out in Park City right now. The architect has been on board for a while. We're working to bring the designer into the mix as well, even during the design stage, because the designers are so important. They can help with things like room size for a bunk room that's going to have several bunk beds. What about window locations for beds and your other things that we're going to be building into the house? So that's why we really work to try to bring this team together. But the architect is going to be crucial, right? So you have your builder, architect, because they're going to design that vision. They're going to design that floor plan. That includes the layout. That includes a lot of exterior materials. Now, that doesn't mean they get carte blanche to do what they want. That simply means they're working with their builder who keeps an eye on not only the aesthetics, but also the budget, as well as the designer who brings some great creative design ideas into the project as well. So it really is a team effort.
Both can help lead you to a designer. It's kind of why they're the last person of the three, right? There can be these amazingly creative designers out there, but you want to make sure that, if you're designing from afar, that they have the right communication plans, the right tools in order to work with this type of house or this type of client. And a lot of the designers that work with a certain type of builder or architect, you can choose from that pool and not have to just start on Instagram and find whatever designer whose photos you like. It can be a combination of the two when you start with your builder or architect.
One thing I do want to address briefly here as we continue on is there's a lot of really good what are called design build firms that are across the country. Design build means just that. You're going to find a company that not only designs your home, but then also builds your home. You might also find a builder that has a designer, like an interior designer, exterior designer on staff. So we're not saying that every project works where you have the builder, then you go find an architect, then you find a designer. Most of them, many of them do. But if you happen to be drawn toward a design build firm, you might have the opportunity to put everything under one house. Now, personal thoughts on it. If you're looking for a more simplistic build, a great way to go. I've heard the other side of it, possible argument that everybody likes to have a little bit of separation between the architect, the builder, and the designer, because then one person does not have too much control, too much power over that particular project. I don't know where I come down on this. I know what works well for us, which is putting our team together of different individuals every single time. But I would not rule out thinking about the design build process with a firm that has a real good reputation, because they can handle the design, they can handle the construction, they can handle the interior finishes as part of one big package.
You want to make sure that the architect is capable of several different styles, don't you think? So it doesn't end up that, with a custom build, each home is unique. And
Very good point.
being able to choose your architect and get the design that you want, making sure that if it is a design build, that you can still do that, I think is going to be important so you don't feel like you're building something that's been built 100 times before.
I've heard that argument before, and it makes perfectly good sense, because that's one of the reasons that in both of our markets, we try to pair our clients with who we believe would be the perfect architect, because everybody has different styles, everybody has different, experience. Everybody also just is totally different with their schedules and all. So there's not a right way, there's not a wrong way. We're just trying to help everybody understand what the differences are between finding your builder, put together a team, and then possibly going the route of a design build firm.
There is a right way or a wrong way to approach it if you're the client, though, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
You do?
Yeah.
Tell me
Because
more.
I think it's a mistake to draw your plans first and then start looking for your team.
That's a pet peeve of mine, right?
It is.
Well, I will say that we've had many clients over the years come to us with plans that have already been drawn, and they're kind of heartbroken because I don't think they had the builder involved in the design process. And the sad part about it, this is not saying anything's against architects. It simply is kind of a procedures and process thing.
Right.
Architects do a beautiful job of developing plans and drawing homes. They're doing what the client is asking them to do. Somebody has to keep an eye on that budget all the way through it. If you have your builder involved, the builder can take a look at square footage, understand what current cost per square foot costs are, understand what a roof line will do to you, what a full brick or stone exterior is going to do for you, what ceiling heights are going to do. So that builder is going to be able to give you some very valuable financial information. So when the architect draws a beautiful home, the builder might say, okay, I do need you to shave 400 square feet off of that beautiful design in order to fit the budget. That's teamwork. That's working together. So then the client does not have to be disappointed at the end of the first pass because they have a home that's too expensive. It's happened many times. We are able to, take the plans, value engineer them, if you will, for the clients, get them back on track and start building their home.
And if you're working with a custom builder, there are, I don't want to say blind spots, but there are certain common issues you might find on plans that your custom builder is going to be able to look at that and be like, oh, that's something that we probably want to address. We know that code is going to say this, that, or the other. Another reason not to buy your plans online.
Yeah.
And so they can give you a value quality control check on the plans as well as they're being developed.
Real quick comment on buying plans online. We actually know a designer in Salt Lake City, Utah, who does sell his plans online. So just make sure that if you do, because that same designer is able to work with you depending upon where you're building and can make some changes based upon local codes or code requirements. Some markets in which a builder might be building don't have basements for one reason or another, whereas the plans might, or vice versa. So generally speaking, you're right. If you can start from scratch and design your home with an architect who knows the local codes, that's absolutely the best way to go. If you found something online that you really like, make sure that that designer who's marketing those plans can help you with what you need locally.
And we have a floor plan library in both markets, but it's not intended to be built. It is intended to give people ideas and, help brainstorm. And it's those big sites where it's kind of floorplans.com.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, no, you bring up a very good point. And again, just trying to help educate everyone on the understanding of why we do not highly recommend buying them online, because by the time you actually buy them and pay those prices, you can't build them most of the time in your market simply because of code changes and that type of thing. I think I know another possible misstep that you're going to bring up.
Oh, yeah.
Skipping the design portion,
it
right?
can be. It
Yeah.
can be. And I say this with a caveat that it depends on the complexity and size of the house. I mean, sometimes even if you've designed and built homes several times, having a designer to help with understanding what's current, what's out there. We have folks that come in and talk to our design team about this is the latest in Cambria trims and things like that, and constantly are bringing them out to the showroom to see what's new. So, not knowing what you don't know sometimes can be a challenge, especially with the larger projects.
And think about it too. How are you going to set a realistic budget if you don't have a good idea of what your ultimate design and your finishes are going to be? That's why I highly recommend that if you have a designer, terrific. Let's start getting that designer involved early so you can at least have an idea of what the finishes are going to be for some of the major selections. Cabinetry, countertops, flooring, plumbing, lighting. Your builder needs to have an idea of what those finish levels are so you can set the appropriate allowances for those particular selections in the budget. Now, if you can make your selections before the actual budget is finalized, that would be even better because then you can have a firm number in there that you're comfortable with. But at a minimum, you need to make sure you fully understand what those finish levels are so your builder can confidently populate your budget with the right allowance.
And there's one more kind of gotcha.
What is that?
We want to make sure that people understand that competitive pricing is important. You definitely don't want to overpay for
Absolutely.
things, but hiring based on price alone is sometimes you get what you pay for, and your builder can probably give you some advice on that. But knowing how to balance quality with price, that's an act that needs to be maintained.
100%. And I will say we can back that up even further, Melody. And, as you talk with builders, as you talk with architects, it can't be all about price. To your point, yes, everybody's going to have a budget. Everybody is going to want to be able to build their home for as little as they possibly can. But I would say, since this is most likely the biggest purchase of your life, you have to understand that, like you said, sometimes you get what you pay for. And so sometimes you'll find the builder who has the, maybe lower overhead and lower costs, and maybe he is the right one for you. Terrific. But do not let the price structure make a decision for you. Go with your gut. If that means paying a little bit more, in the long run, it's going to be worth it, because this is such a big project. You can't be frustrated during the middle of it or any part of it. And if that means, you have to pay a little bit more for the right builder, in this case, it's certainly worth it.
And just like you have the legislative branch, you have the judicial branch, and you
Uh-oh.
have the executive branch. Like everybody kind of balances each other out.
This is impressive. Where
Yeah.
are you going with it?
I am going that you have your builder, you have your architect, and you have your designer, and they all balance each other out.
Who's more important?
We're builders, so
Okay,
that's
yeah.
not,
I'm going to go with the builder.
Yes.
No, but you're right. Everybody kind of balances each other out. But I consider the builder the quarterback. Great teammates, and that's just my opinion on it.
So, and as you're interviewing for each role, and all of them should be interviewed, your builder can help you narrow down that field. But, when you're talking to them, you want to ask about recent projects, how they're going to communicate with the rest of the team, how they work from a distance. We had talked before about timeline in episode 1. If you know that you're going to be out of town or that you travel a lot for work, taking those factors into consideration and how they're going to communicate with you is important.
Those are all great reminders. There is one more I want to add to that, is ask the builder, when a problem arises, how do they handle it? What do they do? Do they come to you and say, here's the problem? Do they come to you and say, okay, here's the challenge and here are the solutions, here are the options? I think that's something very important. I think a lot of builders try to be able to come to the client with some, here's what we're dealing with, here are your options, instead of just kind of, delivering the bad news and letting it sit there.
Right.
So this is just a question you might want to ask.
If you happen to be a client that is out on a project and you do see a problem, your builder is probably aware of that and just waiting to come to you with the solutions too. So,
Yeah, no, it's true. It just happened to us not that long ago. The
Yes.
superintendent had been there in the morning. The client comes later in the afternoon during the framing stage and saw something that was framed wrong. And the superintendent had been there in the morning, as I said. So, just allow a little bit of
Right.
time, because you're right. The builder most likely saw it. They're working on something for you and going to take care of it.
So you have kind of your nuts and bolts of what you need to ask, but there's also that ethereal, like that go with your gut. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
can't. It's not all just
I
how
said
things
that
look
earlier.
on
Go with
paper.
go with your gut. That's very
So-
important. Don't be afraid to ask questions. The designer, the architect, everybody should be wide open. Ask for clarity. What's unique about your process that makes you, a good fit for them? What about the communication with the rest of the team? I think communication is one of the biggest things out there, and that's one of our core values, right? Unmatched communication. Ask your architect how they work with their client and the plans and that type of thing. And then ask the designer how they guide your vision and narrow down the scope of materials. And maybe even ask them, how can they do that, deliver a beautiful home for someone who's building on a little bit more of a budget? Designers have a lot of tricks up their sleeves that can really do a great job, finish a home beautifully at lower costs because of a lot of their knowledge.
We're not gatekeeping here, but finding out what experience someone has in the custom building process is important, because it is its own beast, right? And there are different challenges that really, somebody who hasn't maybe had exposure to the custom building process may not know how to approach solving a problem in the field, or,
Yeah.
finding a different material if something goes out of stock. But knowing what you're doing when it comes to custom building can be a big deal.
Agreed for sure. Because, building a custom home is not a solo mission. It really is a full team effort. The people you bring together makes all the difference between a very smooth experience and a super
Villain headache.
villain headache.
Yes.
Wow, that's bad.
I know I had to bring it full circle. Sorry.
You did. You did a nice job. So I think we have maybe 3 things for people to remember? What's number 1?
Yes. Your builder, architect, and designer each bring something different to the table. And together, they're going to bring all of the pieces that are your dream home's dream team.
Absolutely. And this will label number 2. Do not wait to bring them in. The earlier your builder is involved, the better you can put this dream team together and design your dream home around real costs, real timelines, and your goals.
And hire for collaboration, not just beauty, not just talent. You want to make sure that as you're iterating those designs, everything snaps into place and you'll create a home that's not only beautiful, but built for the way that you actually live.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, this has been fun. A lot of good information. There's a reason they came up with the term dream team, and it's used for many different professions. And it really hits close to home in the construction industry, is we like to put those teams together early. So I guess next episode is number 4 of season 8. And what are we going to be talking about, Melody?
We are going to be talking about the fun stuff for me, the style and design and floor plans and layouts and architectural styles and all of the aesthetics of pulling your home together. All the things that sometimes are going to make your estimator who's building your budget cringe, your builder kind of side-eye you. But, let's talk about the beautiful stuff too.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun. And hopefully today's episode got you thinking a little bit about your dream home. And if so, write it down. Bring us your questions. If they want to bring us their questions, Melody, what do you recommend?
Podcast@hibbshomes.com is our email address.
Podcast@hibbshomes.com. That was very simple and very clever.
Yes. And then 844-HIBS20.
Okay. 844-HIBS20.
Yes. And then on Reddit, we have our Art of Custom Building community, which we try to update whenever we've got new episodes out. And, as it's slowly building, we're hoping that you guys will ask questions specifically about episodes on there too.
Absolutely. We love to hear from all of our listeners, and we want to thank all of our listeners for joining us for another episode of The Art of Custom. And we will see you again real soon.
Be sure to subscribe to get the latest episodes, and please rate and review. The Art of Custom is produced by Hug Monster Sound with original music by Adam Frickfordine. Thanks for listening.